All right, scholars, because we have an abbreviated lesson today, an abbreviated time frame, we have to move at a quicker pace today. Somebody raise your hand and tell me, who knows what a DBQ is? We've been doing them all year long. We usually have them during CFAs. DBQ, what could that stand for? What do you think the D stands for? They're posted around the room. What do we see laying around the room posted up on the walls? Stations? What's in the station? Documents. So what do you think the D stands for?
Documents.
Okay. What do you think I'm going to have attached to each of these documents?
Questions.
There you go. So what could that B stand for if it's a document something question?
Base.
There you go. Document-based question, boys and girls. DBQ is a document-based question. We've been using this all school year long, off and on throughout the year, CFAs, different assessments we have. Huh? Nobody ever told you what they were called? That's okay, now we know. Scholars, when you get to college, because you're all going to college, this is one of the methods that they're going to be teaching you. One of the ways that they're not going to teach you, they're going to expect you to learn through this method of instruction. They're going to give you a bunch of documents, they're going to get you a bunch of resources, or they're just going to give you a STEM question and say, hey, go find information about this, and you have to go research your own documents, analyze them, and formulate your answers. So, second question, how is this skill of working with the DBQ going to help you later? Yes, dear.
It can help you understand better or test.
Understand better, test better, what else?
It can help you, like if they give you research, you know the research better, and like if somebody gives you research, you can do it better because you have the experience of researching.
There you go. You're building those tools, that experience right now of how to research. I have my exemplar answer up here on the board. How's this skill going to help me? Analyzing a variety of sources enables me to develop a more solid answer based on information instead of opinion. Have you ever had those discussions with people where they just want to state their opinion? I don't like Obama because he's a Democrat. I don't like Obama because he's a black man. I don't like Obama because... That's an opinion. How about, I do like Obama because he's made financial changes in our government and it's based on these facts here. I don't like him because he's done, and he's based on these facts here. Isn't that a much better argument than just a personal opinion about something? Which is more intelligent and going to get you a higher grade? What do you think, Tyson?
The one that's going to have information.
The one that's going to have the information and the facts built into it. Perfect. All right, scholars. So what we're going to do today, as you came in the door, I gave you a rubric. Your rubric is how you're going to be graded today. These are the steps that I want you to go through. If you will use these when you're in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, all the way forward, these are the skills that are going to help you be successful when you come up with this kind of a test. Our unit question, what makes someone successful? Who has an idea? Talking about what we're doing today. What's going to make you successful at this? Faisal?
I'm going to learn how to write a well-written paper.
You'll write a well-written paper. That's one skill. Who else? Tell me.
What can make it successful?
Uh-huh.
I guess maybe learning something from this.
Learning more information, building new skills, good answers. All right, this is a strategy I've used with all my students since day one. It's called TIA, Title, Information, and Answer. Every time you see a document, whether it be a map, a graph, a chart, I would write this stuff down because you're going to need it as we go. A map, a graph, a chart, anything like this, if you'll follow these 3 steps, it's a good start to get the information that you're going to need from each of the documents. So you get a map in your hand. The very first thing I want you to do is put your pencil down. I want you to look at the map, or whatever this document is, and I want you to read it. I want you to look for the title first. Is it a map that says, Map of the United States in 1820? What information do I get from that title? It's a map of the United States. It gives me the date. I know from prior knowledge, what was going on in this era. So before I've even started writing anything down, before I even went and looked at the question, I've already started to skew answer off of the information that I've got for myself. Do you understand? The second step, you start looking at the information. Go through, read out, who's talking, what are they saying, why are they saying the things that they're saying? What's the importance of what I'm doing? Why does this matter? I hate doing things that just don't matter. Don't you? Alright, and then the last step that I'm looking for is for you to answer. And I have those 5 big questions up there that I'm looking for you to answer. Who, what, when, where, and why. At each stage of the process, if you'll go through and you'll find these 5 pieces of information, your paper at the end will write itself. Any questions so far? All right. So, for this last unit we've been talking about, we watched a short video on the BP oil spill. We talked about how it caused evolution, environmental issues. Even though it's a resource, it's one of those resources that we use in just about every aspect of our daily lives. It gets us to work, it heats our houses, it cools our houses in the summertime, it makes tape dispensers, our clothes have petroleum in them. We use petroleum and oil for just about every part of our life today. But we also saw the environmental catastrophe that it can also cause. So today's question, we're going to evaluate various documents to determine if the oil industry had a positive or negative impact on Texas. At the end of this, you're going to write me a 2 to 3 paragraph reflection on the facts that you're going to get today. Any questions about that so far? All right, perfect. All right. That's not the one that I'm looking for. So what's the first thing that I do as soon as this document comes up?
Look for the title.
Okay, does it have a title? No? It doesn't have a title. So what can I do to identify this piece of information from something else? Look through it real quick and see what you see. Tajane?
The source.
Okay, go to the source. The beginnings of the University of Texas and Texas A&M University. If I'm writing this down, I'm going to make notes as I go around the room because we have stations set up today. I'm going to make notes as I go around. It's like, okay, the title is Beginnings of UT and A&M. I'm going to make it real short so I can make quick notes. I wonder if my board's going to work today. Let's see. Bueno? So I've got my title. What does the title tell me about? Okay, so I did what? Who is it telling me about?
The beginnings of UT and Texas.
Okay, so the what is the beginnings. Who is the schools. When? Does it tell me in the title the when?
1858.
1858. Does it tell me where? It's obviously Texas schools. And do we have a why for this piece of information yet?
Somewhere in the note.
Somewhere in the nose, but our title doesn't give us that information yet. So what's the next step? What's the next step that we're going to follow? Somebody that I haven't heard from yet. Yes, ma'am. I want to look for the information. So the information that I'm going to get is going to come from the bulk, the rest of the body of this paper. Correct? So I'm going to go through this real fast, and then we're going to break this into our teams, and we're going to go around the room. In 1858, the Texas legislature set aside about 1 million acres of land as an endowment, a source of money for the future University of Texas. In 1883, the legislature added another 1 million acres. So how many acres totally do they have? How much? Okay, so we have a total of 2 million acres by 1883. The legislature added another 1 million. Most of the land was dry scrub in West Texas and didn't seem to be worth much. But by 2008, it had produced $4.4 billion in oil and gas royalty payments and other incomes to the University of Texas system. It is also one of the largest university endowment funds in the world. What? What does that mean? that block that I just read? Somebody raise your hand. Who got the stuff? What did they get? They got oil? Robert, what did they start off with?
They had 1 million acres of land, and then they got another million, but most of it was dry.
Okay.
And then by 2008, they have produced 4.4 billion.
Okay, so at first they were just given a bunch of land. And then it turned around, and now they're collecting how much? $4.4 billion in oil and gas royalties. This means that every time that they take a gallon of fuel or oil or gas out, then that oil company gives those universities a piece of that profit. The gas and oil under the ground belongs to those universities. The people that take that gas and oil have to pay them for it. So in the last several years, they've made over $4.4 billion. Universities don't get that kind of money. That is fat cash. Okay, so we got information for that. We got more information than we can get here, correct? So let's go through this. Around 1900, the university began to explore possibilities of finding oil and gas on the university lands. This led to the first major oil discovery in the West Texas Permian Basin. The Santa Rita No. 1 discovery well blew in on May 28, 1923. Within a year, there were 17 producing wells in the Big Lake field, and the University of Texas was on its way to becoming a very wealthy school. When the oil money started flowing, it triggered a building boom that produced many of the structures that are still used by the university. In 1931, the legislature split the oil income with 2/3 going to the University of Texas and 1/3 going to Texas A&M University. The income was further split in 1984.
Just for you.
The income was further split in 1984 when the legislature voted to include all of the institutions in the University of Texas system and the entire Texas A&M University system. Who can tell me what that means? Who got the money? UT did, and they kept it all to themselves.
No, they gave it to Texas A&M.
They gave all the money to Texas A&M.
No, they only gave 1/3.
They gave 1/3 of it and kept how much for themselves?
2/3.
What of, okay, so we've talked about who? 2 schools, correct? We talked about what happened. They had oil, they split the oil. When did this happen? It gives you specific dates of when these things happen, correct? What are the dates? Okay, started in 1900, 1927, 1928, and then it goes all the way into what? The 19... There you go. Okay, where did it happen? We're going to stick here in Texas. It happened specifically on that 2 million acres of UT property. Why did it happen? To get some money. It was set aside just to strictly set up for colleges and universities, a public school system in Texas. However, the revenue was kind of a surprise. They accidentally found oil, and once they did, cha-ching. So we have 5 questions we've answered off of this excerpt. You make your notes on it, and then when we're all said and done, we're going to go from station A, B, C, and D around the room. You're going to do this same process to each one of these stations. When you're done with this, we're going to take notes off of it. We're going to come back down to our sitting spots. I'm going to give you a few minutes to organize your thoughts, and then we'll go from there. Are there any questions before we begin? Do you know what I expect from you to do?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Let's go over this one more time. Our times are going to change just a little bit. I'm going to give you about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes to complete the questions individually. The questions are the who, what, when, where, why, and how for each of the documents. We're not going to work with partners immediately. You're going to move in groups, but I'm looking for you to be quiet. I want this to be a personal time. I want you to read. I want you to take your time. I want you to do it right, but I don't want you to share. If you have a vocabulary question, or something you're not specifically understanding, that's when you raise your hand or you can turn and talk to your neighbor. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Is this going to be turned into class?
Yes, it is. We must move very quickly. This is a quick-paced class. Scholars, The paper that I gave you as you walked into the room is your rubric. Your rubric is exactly how you're going to be graded. At the top right-hand corner, you have a letter, A, B, C, or D. For each station, there are 2 A's, the exact same document. 2 B's, same document. 2 C's, same document. 2 D's, same document. Go to the station that you have and move alphabetically after that. I'm going to give you 3 to 5 minutes at each station. Do you understand what I just said?
Yes, sir.
3 to 5 minutes. You must move quickly. Do not waste time. Here's your opportunity for questions. Does anybody have a question? Yes, sir.
So just to make sure, we're gonna use this rubric and we're gonna go around the room to each station and answer who, what, when, where, why, and how of each document.
Your job is to analyze each document. At the end of the series, we're going to come back, you're going to sit down and you're going to answer this question. Did the discovery and growth of the oil industry in Texas bring more positive or more negative changes to Texas? Understood?
Yes, sir.
So, as you go from one document to the next, for instance, we just talked about oil production at the universities. Is that a positive or is that a negative? That's a lot of money. That's a pretty positive thing. Could that cause conflict between the 2 schools? I mean, come on. I only got 1/3 of the money. You got 2/3 of the money? Why are you so much better? Maybe a little hostility that goes between them. In fact, when we talk about Jim Hogg, that's what's fixing to happen. He gets really angry about this. UT, University of Texas, is referred to as the big gorilla in Texas because they have so much money and so much power. All right. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. 15 seconds to get to your stations. On the count of 1, go. Again, there are 2 documents at each station. You need to get right there. You need to get straight to work. This is an assessment grade. This is a test grade. Tajane, baby, don't look at me. You need to be reading that document up there. Hey, there's another D over here if y'all need to get closer. You have 1 minute left. 5 seconds. All right, scholars. It's time to rotate. Take a few seconds, finish writing down your notes. Rotate to your next station, please. Time starting, you have 3 minutes. Make sure you're writing some sort of topic or some sort of title down so when you make reference to these in your papers, I'll know what you're talking about. Permian football on Friday nights, or oil production at the university level, the divorce rates of oil fields. Thirty seconds. Scholars, it's time to rotate. We have 2 more rotations to go. 6 minutes. Time starts now. Make sure you're using your own information and not grabbing information from your neighbors. Scholars, you have 30 seconds left. Scholars, it's time to rotate. Give you about 10 seconds to get rotated. We're going to our last station. And time is starting. You have 3 minutes. We have 1 minute left. If you're done, y'all go back to your seat. Five seconds. Time for everybody to start returning back to their chairs. All right, scholars, I'm going to give you all about 30 seconds to review over your notes real fast. Make sure you understand what you wrote. Finish jotting down your notes. All right. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to turn and talk to your neighbor. I want you to go ahead, ask for anything that you need clarification on, things you don't understand, something you were surprised about, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that as oil production increased, so did the rate of divorce. And as oil production decreased in those oil fields, the rate of divorce decreased also. I wonder why. Put some thoughts together. Go ahead, y'all have about, I'll give you 30 seconds, you should turn and talk with your neighbors. How about for Friday night?
University is in Nebraska. So it does have a negative. Because that's what we do. Like, keep the on the 6 a.m.
So that is an awesome How about that? 10 seconds.
Who, Winkler, Hector, Minutes.
And
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to Mr. Smith now. All right, scholars. Again, we have a very, very abbreviated lesson today because we're fixing to go into transition. Your job now is to take the facts and the information that you have. Based on the rubric that you have, the more information, the more detail that you give, the more